This is DW Norton from Rifleman / Superheist. You're listening to Collision on Voice FM.
What an exciting time the last couple of years has been for you with getting Superheist back together and now doing your solo project of Rifleman.
Yeah, it has been. Kind of came out all guns blazing after having considerable amount of time away from the game. So it was good. Hit the ground running. Good feeling.
When you say you had time away from the game, was that just like as in being in a band? Because your job is producing and stuff, isn't it?
Well, not so much these days anymore. I've kind of stepped away from that a fair bit. I'm now a bit more involved in my own businesses. But, look, I've continued to produce records, just not as many as I used to, because I don't do producing full-time anymore.
Right.
And now I keep my producing basically to, I guess, our little close-knit group that we've got, with Simon from In Extremis and Zeke and the Horrorwood Mannequins, little bits of them, and also my wife's band, London Rifleman Superheist. So I've got my hands full just in that kind of little family group there, So I don't do a lot of producing outside of that. And the other reason that I kind of stepped away after Walk the Earth, sort of took a bit of time out. I mean, that band never officially broke up. It's still floating in the breeze.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of had a gutful of the music industry for a while, to be honest. Just needed a break. I mean, I've been in it full time since 1992, and I just got a bit burnt out by it all. And it's certainly not burnt out by the music or the fans, but you get burnt out by all the bullshit. There's a lot of bullshit in the music industry, and it's just like that's the side of it that you don't want when you need to be creative. Like you want things to be smooth sailing, and the bullshit is not necessarily just from the record companies and the agents and the managers and the venues. It can be from the band members as well. So it does. There's a lot going on all the time, and it can get the better of you. And I needed a break from it, and I feel like it's probably been a really good thing for me to have that time away. I've come back refreshed. I feel like I'm writing better than ever, and I'm really pumping out a lot of quality products, which I'm stoked with.
Yeah, definitely. And there is a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that people don't see that can be quite frustrating, even putting shows together and getting bands to agree to do it and not pull out and all that stuff.
There's so much involved, and so much can go wrong, and very little goes right. Sort of when you're in a band, for every one thing that goes right for you, there's probably about 9 things that went wrong right before it. So it can be a little bit taxing.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you more about Rifleman, but before we go there, when you were putting Superheist back together, finding that lead singer and then finding Zeke, how has that worked out for you internally? Well,
it was actually the way that Superheist sort of got back together again was I was approached by Rick Butterworth, he's kind of like my pseudo manager, and he runs. He's the owner of Dinner for Wolves, our record label,
right,
which is also home to like Electric Mary and Desecrator and Screaming Jets. Really good label, and Rick's a really good operator. We actually were business partners as well. We used to own a whole lot of love, the bar in Melbourne together, and we own a tattoo shop together, East Brunswick Tattoos. And he said to me, mate, it's about time you did something with Superheist again. And I took a bit of convincing. And I said, well, I'm not going to go and do it. We can't obviously do it with any of the singers that we've had before. And he mentioned, what about Zeke? And I'm like, you know what? Like, he would be perfect. So we went and spoke to Zeke. We invited him down the bar for a beer, and he was really a bit taken aback by being asked to do it. But he did say that he just had so much on at the time that he wasn't sure if he could do it. So he went away to think about it, and we didn't really hear back from him. So we kind of soldiered on without him. We did some demos with Clippo from Butterfly Effect. But again, he lived in Queensland. It was never going to work. But I've actually got some recordings of him singing on Superheist songs, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
So then, about a year later, I thought, I'm just going to ask Zeke again. And I kind of made Rick write this real professional-sounding email and sent it to Zeke, and that was enough to get him over the line. And he was like, you know what, a few things have happened. I've got time for this now, got passion for it. He goes, but if we're going to do it, let's just do it, all guns blazing. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. And there we go. And really, like, Zeke was a breath of fresh air I needed. He's such a good operator, and he's full of life, full of energy, and really easy to write with. We really clicked on that level. And I guess the rest is history.
Yeah. And I guess going back to what you said earlier about, trouble within bands and that, the members and things, Superheist, you were almost there in America and it was internal trouble that sort of destroyed that. So, bands really need to be careful and know that they're ready for it when it happens.
Well, it wasn't so much being in America or any of the stuff that went on in America that affected Superheist and the members of Superheist. I think just like some members forgot where they came from and just forgot that it's about music and it's not about the individuals and it's just about making great records and performing the best you can for your fans. And a lot of bullshit just unnecessarily came into it. I guess outside pressures, like some members had kids and all that sort of stuff. I can understand what pressures that brings on, but it brought a negative impact to the band and not a positive impact, which was disappointing. And although what happened in America was hard on the band, I felt that we could have fought through it, but we didn't have that unity anymore. And, everyone started hating each other and it just wasn't any point continuing. And that kind of, I said I'm going to get a fairly personal here, Kat. Might be good for your radio show or people might tune out, I'm not sure. But I made that commitment to everybody when we brought Superheist back. We said, listen, this is about fun first and foremost. This needs to be enjoyable or it's not going to happen. We're a little bit older, we've all got families and, other outside interests. The minute that somebody makes it unenjoyable or causes angst or, rifts within the band, they'll be out. They'll just be out. And no two ways about it because I'm not back to do it for bullshit. I'm back to do it to make great music and to get out and play to the fans and just enjoy it. I'm not here for the bullshit. And there was bullshit. There was big bullshit. And so I had to cut that off, and I make no apologies for that because that's how it is, or there is no Superheist. So, it just wasn't good enough, and that's not why I want to do it. And Zeke's in the same boat. And now the lineup that we have now, we've got Cy Durant back, who's, I've been his biggest fan for a long time. He's such he's a gentleman, he's a giant, he's just an absolute legend, and he's just a godsend to Superheist to have him back on bass. It was unfortunate that we lost him on bass in the first place, but he had those outside pressures that I was talking about before right back then. There's a lot of stuff that has to go right for a band. And we've got John Sankey, he's back from America after taking on the world with some of the biggest metal bands in America, and that kind of burnt him out a bit. And he's back and he's enjoying, he's smiling and behind the kit. Can't stop smiling, in fact, behind the kit, and, one of my best mates in the world, Kier Gotcha, to have him playing guitar. It's a great vibe. It's good friends, no bullshit, no angst, no stress, just enjoying each other's company and making really good heavy rock music.
Yeah. And speaking of which, you've now got another band together, Rifleman, and it's not quite as heavy. It's more alternative rock, although the first teaser you released is an instrumental. Yeah,
so that first teaser ended up on the album. That's the last song on Silver and Gold, the album, a song called Burn. I'm a huge fan of instrumental music. In fact, I almost prefer instrumental music to music with vocals on it. Always have. Right. I'm a big fan, and I really wanted to try and capture that soundscape and emotion within the music without introducing words and lyrics, so that the song can be about whatever the listener gets from it and whatever they, there's no one telling them what the song's about. It's about whatever they want it to be. I like that about instrumental music. So I really wanted to include an instrumental, and so Burn was the one for Silver and Gold. But yeah, look, Rifleman, I've been working on Rifleman for the last 3 years. It's I've always wanted to do a solo album. I guess I've just been a bit nervous about doing it because, I kind of put everything else first. Superheist comes first, or producing someone else's record, or business, but I had an opportunity in between Superheist records to finally get this out. I pretty much had all the songs written and ready to go. And yeah, it is a departure from Superheist. It's not as heavy. I think it's a bit more, melancholy, emo-y rock music, I suppose. It's a bit emotional, but I do love emotional music, and I wanted to convey that in this record, because Superheist is a bit more fun rock. Whilst there is some serious stuff in the lyrics, the general vibe is party. Yeah. But the general vibe is correct, like in Superheist, it's party. It's about jumping up and down, whereas Rifleman's more about listening to it and really getting deep into it and, deciphering the lyrics and singing along with the melody. And it is a melodic record and one that I'm very proud of, Kat.
Yeah, well, the first single, Keep the Story Alive, it is a storytelling song, like you said, but it has a bit of kick there. I'd call it alternative rock for sure.
It is a rock song. That's probably the heaviest song on the record.
Right.
But have you heard the whole album?
No, I haven't. That's what I was going to ask, sort of what the rest of the album is like.
Well, it is a storytelling record. Like, there's a lot of, I worked hard on the lyrics to convey exactly what I wanted to convey. It's very melodic. There's a lot of sing-along stuff. It's very lush, a lot of guitar overdubs and keyboards, and there's a real soundscape to it. And it's been getting amazing reviews. Like, I've been really humbled by the reviews that people are saying it's a brilliant record. One guy said it should be in your top 5 albums of the year, which is great.
Oh, yeah.
So it is. It's not a heavy metal record by any stretch of the imagination, but it's still got the big guitars. They're not big riffs, but they're big guitars. So it's, I guess, a bit of a different approach. But if you're a Superheist fan, you will get a lot out of it because it's obviously all written by me, as is Superheist, and but it doesn't have the big bouncy jumping riffs. So I deliberately stayed away from that.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, as in you keep referring to it as storytelling, how personal are we hearing, like, music stories, life stories, what's going on in the world?
They're more
stories?
like, they're life stories, like relationships with my kids, relationships with my wife, relationships with music. A lot of it is about my relationship with music, relationship with animals. If you know me, I'm a pretty staunch vegan. I care a lot about animals and animal rights, and so there's a lot about that, but it's pretty subliminal. It's certainly not direct. You'd be able to read the lyrics and get a few different things out of it, I'd hope. That's the way I designed it. I didn't want it to be really obvious. I don't throw it down people's throats. It's for me, it's my family. My kids are vegan, my wife's vegan, I'm vegan, and it's for us and for the animals.
Okay.
I do my thing in other ways. If you've got the CD, the physical CD, there's a bit of a monologue written in there about the way I feel about animals.
Right, yeah. I'm glad there's people who are willing to get out and protest rights, but I'm not ever going to be one of those people.
Yeah.
But you've got one in your band. I mean, Zeke, he starts a lot of protests.
Yeah. No, he's a king of protests, So, but Zeke, Zeke is a wonderful crusader. He gets out there, is never afraid to speak his mind or put himself in harm's way to protect those who are not experiencing equality. So more power to Zeke. He's a unique individual, and he's somebody that everybody should look up to.
Yeah.
He's a gem. He really is. Like, a great father. He's a great friend. He's a great musician, and probably, if he's not the best front man in Australia, I'm yet to see someone better.
Awesome. Well, speaking of frontmen, because you have done a bit of singing before, but like Rifleman is not only, like you said, it's not bouncing around, it's more sit down and revealing your life stories. So you have done some shows, how confronting are you finding that?
Well, I didn't know how I was going to approach it, I've never been a frontman, except when I was about 18, I think, and I was in a cover band and I was singing Faith No More song. So I've never really been a front man and never really been someone that sings a song from start to finish while playing guitar. That was a new thing for me. For some reason, I cannot remember lyrics. I never have been able to do that. So I've got my cheat sheets for my lyrics. And I've got my wife, London, and Kim Roberts on backing vocals. So they help me with all the harmonies and all that sort of stuff. Sounds great. And then we've got Richard De Silva, who was in Walk the Earth with me, and he's one of my best mates on guitar. So the 2 guitars I play and sing, De Silva on guitar. The Rob Brenz on drums, if he's not the busiest drummer in Australia at the moment, I'm not sure who is, and he's probably the best as well. So he's on drums, and then an American guy by the name of Travis Presley plays bass and does backing vocals as well. Travis is from a band in the States called Burn Halo, which was a singer from 18 Visions band. So he's a very, very experienced touring musician. So it's great to have him in the band as well. Yeah,
and speaking of bass players, that's actually your first professional stint was as a bass player for A well-known singer, and I've forgotten her name, Lisa Edwards.
Lisa Edwards, yeah. So I played in the Lisa Edwards band for a little while, along with Mark Entwistle from the Mercy Kills.
Oh, yeah.
He was in it as well. And a couple other fellas, James Ryan, who's a very well-known top-end guitar player as well. He was there too. So that was back in, probably 1990, let's say.
It says 92 online, but we won't get
Might have
pedantic.
been 92. Yeah, something like that, 92.
I wanted to ask kind of how you got into music. Did you come from a musical family?
I do in a way, indirectly.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle, he did a lot of music for a lot of big movies. Patrick Doyle is his name.
Right.
He, Harry Potter, Goblet of Fire, for example.
Oh, wow.
He did the soundtrack to that. Sense and Sensibilities and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. A lot of those big English films he did the soundtracks for. My little cousin, Talia Storm, she's a big pop artist in Scotland. She's kicking goals. She was discovered by Elton John.
Right.
I think she's only just turned 18, so she's really at the start of her career, but she's very popular in Scotland, and she's just released her album. So if you look her up, Talia Storm, she's about to kick some goals. And outside of that, there's no one in my direct family. The reason I got into music was my cousin was a bass player, and I used to watch his band rehearse. And the guitarist in that band was a guy called Dave Loader, which if you might know from a TV show on SBS, Guitar Gods and Masterpiece.
All right.
And so he's him. That's his show. So I used to watch them play, and I wanted to play like them, and saved up and bought a guitar. I was like 14 or 15. So that's how I got into it. And I just kept moving and shaking. I was never a great guitarist as far as sort of shredding, sort of solo guitar player. I was more interested in writing songs. I would sit in my room, even in the early days, on a 4-track with a cassette tape, and I'd just write songs with a drum machine. And, that's all I've ever been interested in doing is writing songs. That's my favourite part, writing and producing the songs. Getting out and playing on stage is awesome, but my favourite part is definitely writing the songs and making them come to life.
Yeah, right. And have you ever considered giving a movie score or something a go?
Yeah, I've written a couple of songs for movies. There was a Charlize Theron movie called Dark Places.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote a song for that, but they never used it in the end. I was spilling. But I would definitely like to do that. But I don't know, I would like to do a soundtrack where I get to choose the songs too. Sometimes they just do that. They do the soundtrack. Like Trent Reznor might do the soundtrack, but he'll put all sorts of bands on there. I really like that idea. If it ever came up, I'd jump at the chance for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I actually thought I'd love to do that one too.
It'd be great fun. It's like I got to do Rage once. Got the program Rage. That was amazing.
Right.
So that was really cool. Back then, because this was back maybe 2002, and we got to go on Rage and program Rage, and you get to pick 40 songs. So with 5 band members, you got to pick 8 songs each, and they gave you a huge big book. It was enormous. It was like the first edition of the Bible sort of thing. You just lifted it up and you went through all these songs, and I picked my 8 songs, and it was fantastic. It was a really good experience to do that. I'm sure it's just done on a computer screen with a mouse now. You don't get the big book, but it was cool.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you get a chance to do it again, but Rifleman do have some shows still to come.
Yep.
Tonight you're actually in Sydney at the Chippo Hotel.
Yep, with the Horrorwood Mannequins and Morella's Inferno.
Yeah, and then Saturday the 9th of December, you're supporting Fuel at the Prince Band Room in Melbourne.
Correct, yep.
Which, that's pretty awesome, but then you've played with some pretty awesome bands in the past.
I think, though, that slot with Fuel's perfect for Rifleman. No one knows Rifleman yet, so great to get in front of. I think it's a perfect audience. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, and then the 15th of December, you're at the Enigma Bar in Adelaide.
With Ice on Mercury and Submerge.
Right, Ice on Mercury, good friends of Collision. We've had them in the studio a few times.
Great guys, great band.
Yeah.
And now, South Australian Rock Royalty after winning the Best Heavy Rock Band.
That's right.
South Australian Awards.
For 2017,
so,
good on them.
I'll actually be rubbing shoulders with South Australian Rock and Roll Royalty. Amazing.
I'm sure they're telling everyone they're going to be rubbing shoulders with Australian music royalty because they're playing with you.
Well, see.
You have a big show on the 23rd of December at the Corner Hotel in Melbourne, supporting Mammal, who are Zeke's band, who they did quite well for themselves when they were around as well.
Yep, and they will do quite well for themselves again, no doubt. So great to see Zeke getting back doing the thing with Mammal. Perfect timing again in between Superheist records. He gets to go and smash out his thing. And I had all sorts of photos of him in compromising positions, and I told him unless I'm playing on one of those Mammal shows, I'll be getting these straight out to the media. So he had no choice but to put me on, which is fantastic.
That's
only
the
joking.
way to do it.
No, I'm only joking. Zeke's just, he's just a gem of a guy, and we help each other. I've helped him a lot, and this is his way of saying thanks. So I thank him. It's great.
Yeah. And well, you have done a couple of shows already anyway, so you know what you're doing now. You've gotten over those fears of...
I think so. Good feedback from what we've done so far. So everybody said it was a fantastic show. One guy said it was the best show that he'd seen in 8 years. So I had to ask him, was it the first show he's been to in 8 years, just to be sure.
And he said no.
No. He said he'd been to plenty, so that was good.
Awesome, because you do know what you're doing. It's not like you're actually new to the business. And you have... Go on.
Yeah, I'm new to being the front man and all that, but, it's all right. I really enjoyed it. That's why I'm doing all this again, Kat, just to enjoy it, and it was really enjoyable, so that's great.
But you're fully aware about the performance value, what's needed, and you've played with some of the best in the world, so I'm sure that even though there was fear at first, what took over when you got on stage. Well,
I've never really been nervous because I always know what I'm doing.
Right.
And so with Superheist shows, even playing Big Day Out, just didn't get nervous. It was here we go, let's just smash it,
Yeah.
But with the Rifleman stuff, because it's obviously my voice, I was nervous in the week leading up because I wasn't sure how my voice was going to perform.
Yeah.
But come showtime, I wasn't nervous. I just did it, and I was surprised at how well my voice held up. It's good.
Awesome, and I'm jealous because I actually don't know what I'm doing, and I'm nervous all the time.
Well, you certainly run a good interview, so you should be confident in that. That's for sure.
Well, I never write questions, and I'm always nervous before an interview. And the same when I go on air. Like, I'm a nervous wreck on Fridays. It's just, but somehow I get through it all. But
good on you.
With your time in the music industry and all the amazing supports you've done in the past and with Superheist and what you've done lately, what to you would be a favourite moment during that music time?
I think the best live experience would have been playing at the Sydney Big Day Out main stage.
Right.
That was probably the best. But there's a lot of that, there's a lot of live stuff, like I remember playing a sold-out show at the Newtown RSL at the start of the Prize Recruit Tour. That was amazing. There's a lot of that, even like coming back and playing Max Watts last year, packed out room, like that was a great moment. And, releasing my own, I'll go back a little bit further, back to recording Ghost of the Social Dead in Los Angeles with Jay Baumgartner. That was one of the best. And then finally putting out my own solo album has to be up there as well. There
awesome. And you got lots more memories to come, and hopefully one day in the not too distant future your own movie score to do.
Oh, I hope so. In the meantime, I've got to finish this next Superheist record, which all the music's written for, and it sounds absolutely monstrous. I'm telling you, I'm standing by my words here. It's the biggest, best Superheist. When I play it to people, they laugh because it's so big and so bouncy and so epic that they just start laughing. So it's I'm really looking forward to getting that out in 2018. Probably do a bit of work on it over Christmas with Zeke. Our sons are really good mates. They're the same age, Griffin and Caden.
Right.
And so they'll knock about while the dads make some bouncy, fun rock and roll music over Christmas time.
And then you get to bounce all over Australia to show us.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like the icing on the cake, really. To me, it's all about making the record. That's the most exciting part. And I really love the day that the song gets released or the album gets released, and I get to hear people's reaction, or I really love that side of it. And then the icing on the cake is getting out and actually performing it live.
Yeah, definitely. And have you got your wife, London, the band? Have you got them supporting you at any of the shows?
No doubt they will. They've had some drummer troubles. They can't seem to get a drummer to stay with them. Like their first drummer ended up getting poached by Truth Corroded. Love Truth Corroded, by the way. So Jake had to go play with them. Like, London wasn't quite busy enough at the time to keep him going. So if you are a sick metal drummer, let us know, because she's looking for a full-time drummer. But when her album finally comes out, that'll raise some eyebrows as well. It's written by me and her, and produced by me, and it's big, massive metal with huge hooky choruses, and she's a fantastic singer, and I think it'll really raise some eyebrows when that finally comes out. Yeah,
I have heard one track from them, and it did sound pretty amazing. I look forward to seeing them play live. And drummers in Melbourne are rare as hen's teeth at the moment, but this is an amazing opportunity. I've heard the music, and it is awesome.
Yeah, I think so. It'll certainly suit the right person, that's for sure. So any drummers listening, get onto Kat's Facebook and send us a message.
Yeah, definitely do that. Is there something you'd like to say to your fans all over Australia to get them to come and check out not only your show, but to grab hold of the album?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been a real interesting experience coming back to music after what was 13 years away from Superheist, but maybe about 7 or 8 years away from Walk the Earth. It's really great that all those fans, or the majority of them, are still around and still following what I do. And I feel really humbled by that. And I would like to, show my appreciation by playing for people and meeting you all in person. So if you can come down to the show, you can check out the album, Silver and Gold. It's out now through Dinner for Wolves. You can get it on iTunes and Spotify, all that sort of stuff, or buy the CD. Go into JB Hi-Fi and order it. They don't have it in the shelves, or check it out. It's a really good album, definitely worth purchasing, and I would love to hear what everybody thinks about it. So you can find me on Facebook. If you search Rifleman, the band, or DW Norton, you'll find me. Hit me up, say hi, introduce yourself. I'm not one of those aloof rock stars that doesn't want to communicate with the fans. I'm all about talking to the people, and hit me up.
Awesome. And if they go to riflemanband.com, then you have links to your music and to buy tickets for your shows coming up, and you've got
all that sort of stuff on there, correct?
Yeah, your bio and videos, everything that you would want to find about a band.
Yep, so that's it. It's all there. And they've got another video coming out soonish. I'm just waiting for Brian Cox, who's back in LA. He's just working flat out at the moment with Hollywood Undead. So we've shot the video. He's just got to edit it. It's for a song off the album called Satellite, and looking forward to getting that out. As soon as he's got it edited, we'll get it out. So, and then in February we're going to release another single off the album. It's the In Excess cover, Don't Change. So if you haven't heard that,
I haven't heard it.
It's a really cool version. It's very respectful to the original version, but it certainly has that, DW Norton / Superheist exciting rock feel to it. So you'll enjoy that.
Yeah, I saw that just before I called you, and I was a bit spewing because just last week I put some new covers through the show, and I would have included that if I'd had it.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kate, you got to get off the phone and you got to go and listen to the album, because I'd love to hear your opinion.
Yeah.
And send me a message.
Well, I'm going to hit up your publicist. I think I actually got your single off of Air It, AMRAP's Air It.
I think I can send you a press kit, and the whole album's on there.
Awesome, that'd be fantastic. And I will actually tell people once again, facebook.com, Rifleman the band, and the tour dates. You've got the 9th of December in Melbourne at the Prince Band Room with Fuel, the 15th at the Enigma Bar in Adelaide, and the 23rd in Melbourne. at the Corner Hotel. And the album, Silver and Gold, is out now, and people should definitely go and check that out. And thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you, Kat.
Have a good day.
See ya.
Bye.